for all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. International Women's Day 2025. A personal challenge led this woman on a quest and to share the resulting knowledge with the Caribbean and the world. How did you become an entrepreneur?
My first foray into entrepreneurship was really not candle making. For some reason, people know me for candles, but I actually make soaps. So soap making was really the first thing that I started doing for Sense of Tobago. And I started soap making because of my own personal needs. So I had, this is way back in 1999, 1998. Chronic eczema is not something that people spoke about necessarily, so I really didn't know what it was. And I had to kind of seek out solutions, and I decided to try something myself. I started making soaps at that point in time for me. But then I went back to Trinidad for a little while, and I had to try to make some extra money. And what I knew at that time, as you know, is teaching. So I started teaching. So Sense of Tobago is really a teaching business. It is primarily a workshop business. And it just so happened that after maybe 20 years or so, I opened the store, the Sense of Tobago store in Tobago, November of 2023. So the store gives an opportunity to do a lot of different things so that we could get to inspire with the finished product. So when people come through the store, they're able to see this is what could happen if you take a workshop. So the journey has been long, and there have been, many changes. It's evolved along the way.
What were some of the challenges you have faced?
In 1998, there was nobody doing this. So there might have been people in their little corners, but when you ask people about handmade soaps at that time, or even DIY wasn't a thing at that time, doing your own body butters, it was kind of unheard of. And so those people like me who had to pioneer the industry, there were other ladies, we had challenges of, for example, raw materials. There wasn't anything available. And to be honest, when I did my first workshop, I had nothing. I mean, I poured those soaps in a cardboard box. And it is the customer, the client who came to class that day who bought me molds so that I could teach my next class. So there was that major challenge of raw materials. And then of course the major challenge of maybe credibility, that you're making your own soaps and people had never heard of that before. And so they were kind of skeptical at that time. But because the industry has evolved, there had been a sort of explosion maybe 10 years ago where everybody is into the handmade soaps. But we saw that come to be, and so today, those people who started off way back then are people who have maybe the most credibility and of course the most experience in it.
Tell us some of your successes that stand out to you.
One of my major successes has been the establishment of the online school. It offers online courses in handmade soaps, body butters, and so on, and it's across the Caribbean. In fact, I do have customers from across the world. So I have a lot of people from India coming in, people from Poland, all over the world, people access these, and they are really Caribbean-centric courses. So that is one of the major successes. Another major success to me has been the publication of books. So for me, I felt that was missing in the industry, where we had a lot of access to books written by people in metropolitan areas. And so I felt that we have to start writing our own books and telling our own story of, our making story, or a creative story. And so that was important to me that I published these books, and I'm proud about that too. That's one of the successes for me.
How do you think we can achieve equality and empowerment and ensure rights for all women and girls?
I think that is really important that we continue to put emphasis on education so that we could continue to highlight some of the issues and the traumas experienced by women. I think because a lot of behaviors have been normalized, that sometimes even the women themselves are not aware that they are immersed in something that is traumatic and maybe not the ideal. And so continuing to educate and to say that certain things are not acceptable would be one of the major ways that we can start to empower women. I think another way would be certainly to build female-led networks and networks that involve women. So for example, in Tobago, I know my colleague Abini Taylor has just started an entrepreneurship, a women's club in entrepreneurship. And so women get the opportunity to network with each other and to highlight some of the issues that women face in the world of entrepreneurship that men may not face or may not see in the same way.
Why is it important to celebrate International Women's Day annually?
I think it's really important to do it because though the messages from the International Women's Day, those messages are not new messages. It gives us a chance on that day to highlight these issues that we talk about all the time, such as intimate partner violence and things like rape and so on. It gives us a day where we could put special emphasis on the traumas faced by women, and those messages on that day become kind of ubiquitous. So when the people who miss those messages on other days, there's a chance that they could feel that message on that day. So I think that it's really important that we celebrate, and it may also be a time where women's voices, we have little events where women's voices can be heard. Last year, actually, I was in St. Lucia for International Women's Day, and I went to like a spoken word, and it was amazing. Important, powerful messages that everybody could hear in a setting that was very casual. So things like that, it allows things like that and gives us an opportunity to get messages out where we could move women, men too, to a place of understanding that women see the world differently and experience the world differently.
For all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment, the Office of the Parliament celebrates International Women's Day 2025.